So how was the chat this morning on Nelly? Was it lekker? You busy with the press
really.
vibes now?
Yeah.
I was nervy, but Mayuri and Siasanga, they
He keeps
I
saying
really
that he
feel they
was
knocked
great.
it out the
He
park,
was really, really good.
I listened to it. You did a great job. Yeah.
It just was very howled because I was worried about swearing the whole time. And I almost did,
swear
and
a
I
lot?
looked at Mayuri, and Mayuri was like, and I was like,
Meren is such a potty mouth.
Dude, but it's words that you're like, I didn't know those could form a sentence, and like I didn't know they could all come together like that. It's
That's
ridiculous.
funny. But radio is a lekker format. The timing thing is challenging for me. They're listening to you, but they know you're like, 1 minute, just wrap it
it
up.
was incredible to witness. There's a dude in the corner that nobody knows about. We don't know. There's a dude in the corner that's in the studio the whole time, and he's just going,
40
cool,
seconds.
You've got 40 seconds, blah, 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 blah. And they walk in and out, and they're so
They're
relaxed.
pros, bro. They're real pros.
They're
Yeah.
so relaxed.
Yeah, and there's like millions of listeners that's at the fingertips of...
And something will come in, like, and a blind read. He'll just be like, okay, you've got to read this in about 40 seconds. And she doesn't even look at it. She talks to us, and then she goes, brrr, and I'm like...
She was like eating Swedish fish, and then she's like, "Get to outsurance now."
Nelly, nice. No, I mean, she's
How do you start this?
already started.
Oh, have we started? Oh,
Already started.
Hello.
On your feet, tippy toes.
I didn't know.
Welcome. Welcome, not to radio. Welcome to the podcast world. Okay, so I want to start with the backstory. I know you guys have been friends for, 20 years?
25.
25 years,
That's incredible. So it started at varsity.
Yeah, we met in our first year in 2000, I want to say, at AFTA. And Meren came from NSA, which is like the very Lani art school.
I was
Ooh,
there
fancy.
were 5 of us, and we were such assholes. I can't even tell you because you know what? At National School of the Arts, the theory, we had learned all the theory. So and after now they're starting a little bit from scratch, or not from scratch, but like all of the stuff we covered in Stand 9 and Matric. So anytime people asked questions, the teacher, we'd be like, I don't know, answer. And it started like rubbing people up the wrong way.
So you became friends instantly, or what was the...
It wasn't instant because Meren was stuck in his little group. But I think there was a moment halfway through the first year when like a lot of kids who... Actually, not kids, because there were some older people who were
The
there.
average age that year, Luke, was 23. We were the youngest.
Yeah, so a few of the students were not really taking it seriously. And I don't know, my dad's a doctor and he's paying for me to be here.
Yeah,
this is an expensive...
I want to study film, damn it.
Exactly. So
Luke, you're going to tell the story.
These people were messing around, and one of the lecturers said... until you guys sort your stuff out, I'm not coming back to class. And
Nina, she left, the acting coach. Yeah.
And I don't know, Meren tells a story, but I apparently...
No, tell me your version. I will tell you.
No, I was like, guys, my father's paying a lot of money for me to be here. So if you guys bugger off and go to Melville, have a drink or two,
incredible.
but I want to learn the stuff here. And I think it was that moment that Meren was like, okay, cool, this guy's serious and wants to get an education. And that's where we started becoming friends.
Because we were also taking it seriously, like the 5 NSA people were taking it seriously, right? And then, but when Luke said it, and he was like, yeah, my father is paying a lot of money for me to be here. But he's saying it to like the average of 23 and he's like 18, right? I was just like, this guy's got balls, man. Yes, we have to now. Who are you? Let's be friends.
Let's make films. But did you go into studying film as to be, I know you're a producer now, but was it to be an actor, or is it like, I don't know how that works. Do you study like abroad?
I studied acting, and in high school, I kind of bumbled my way through high school. I didn't fail or anything, but I was not on fire at all. And so I had this one little passion to do acting, and so studied acting, physical performance at AFTA, and it totally set me on fire. Like I found my passion. And I'm forever grateful for that, because like all the way through high school, sports didn't really do it for me. And I acted a little bit here and there. But when I got to college, I found a vision, and and then the partnership with Meren, we did a lot of physical performance and miming. And actually we have our honors degree as clowns, like literally. I have a physical theatre honors degree.
That's incredible.
So producing was kind of a natural byproduct after the fact, where I realized that acting is a lot of hard work. I don't know how you do it, May, but I was like, I'm not in for this. So I got to find something else. And I didn't want to be the one kind of waiting for the phone to call. I wanted to be the one making the phone call. So after college, then I kind of naturally progressed. But that's, I'm jumping ahead a little bit, because we did City Sessler, and that was a lot of fun and seminal for us, and I think for the South African audience. But once we had some success there, then I realized that actually I feel much more comfortable behind the scenes.
Yeah. The reason I started wanting to make films and be in the entertainment industry, not films, but be like an entertainer, was I watched the Buddy Holly story with Gregor Barney when I was 10 years old. And so my whole life I was like, Gregor Barney, he's my whatever, like he's my main hero. And then like 3 years ago, I met him I met him in the gym, the worst place. He was on a treadmill because I know Cindy. And so I went to Cindy, I was like, can I speak to you? I need to tell him something. So I walked up to Craig at the gym, but it's like 6 a.m, like you don't want a small dog with a random guy. So I'm like, hey Craig, I just want to say, when I was 10 years old, I saw you Buddy Holly. And for him, it was like, cool man.
He
wasn't rude. I love it. We're fine now. But I just like, it was one of those moments where like, I should have just kept it to myself and lived with
or
it.
found a better context.
Yeah. But Mayuri, what was it for you? Like, did you watch a TV show where you're like, oh, I want to do this with my life? Or was it a school play? Or when did that like first, what do you call it? Like a spark start like, hey, I want to tell stories.
So there's a decade difference between me and my sisters. So
You're the oldest,
I'm the youngest.
Okay.
And I was alone like a lot of the time because my parents were working parents, so I was at home a lot.
So what did you made imaginary friends?
I made imaginary friends.
Oh my! I was joking.
That's
But
fine.
also I started watching because my grandmother, my dad's mom, had a lot of like My Fair Lady on tape and VHS and Sound of Music and Thoroughly Modern Millie. And I was like, I watched it and I was like, oh my God, you can like be on this thing and sing and dance and act, and it's transporting people and it's changing lives. Like it's all I could think about. So I was about 4, and that's where it like bit me. And then every time people would come over to the house, I'd be like, don't you want to see my dance? And so I started performing from a really young age.
Yeah.
And I told the story to Meren at my like, what's class 1 now?
Grade 1?
Grade
I
R now.
think it's still grade 1.
Yeah, at that time I played all 7 of the Von Trapp children for our end of year school play, and they started clapping.
Nice, that's psychotic.
And they started clapping halfway through, and I was like, I am not finished.
But there's also a picture. I don't know how old you're. 10.
Oh yes, I have a little. I'm a duck.
That's cute.
I was a little duck, and I also won Best Actress at Ian Fleming's drama school when I was like 7. So
Okay,
I'm not
that's
bragging or
street cred,
anything,
bro.
but
Did you guys also like filmed stuff? I think we're all more or less the same age where there were like camcorders or like some kind of video recording device in the house. Did you guys also, like me and my friends, we like ripped off every Schuster, Kalimali, all that the terrible stuff now that I can't do. But that was like for us the way into like just like filming stuff. Was that for you as well? Did you guys do that?
Look, as I get older, memories start coming up. And I think with Lucky Fish, I was saying to Luke, Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
Well, yeah.
So I became obsessed with Jim Carrey after the first Pet Detective, the first one came out, right? And then I watched The Mask or whatever. And in prep for Lucky Fish, I went back and I started watching them for comic timing, physical comic timing, and Martin Short, Inner Space, and Pure Luck.
Oh, Pure Luck. Pure Luck was
Pure. I mean, it's
the funniest.
The physical genius of it, right? So when you speak about this, there were some similarities that came up. When I got obsessed with Jim Carrey, I went and I bought it was a small biography of him, and what he would do at the end of each class or at the end of the day, the teacher would give him 5 minutes, and he would play all the Three Stooges for his class. He would act, right, and it became this like weird thing. And I realized when I was in Standard 1 and Standard 2, I learned all the lyrics to Ice Ice Baby and all the lyrics to The Simpsons Do the Blues. Remember The Simpsons came up with an album?
Yeah.
And Pump Up the Jam. Mm-hmm. And my teacher would give me 5 minutes at the end of each class to rap or sing for and it was a memory that I blocked. And so when you talk about the camcorder thing, my mom, my sister reminded me a couple of days ago, I used to in-camera edit. So I would shoot something and then I'd stop it and then I'd shoot something else. And she was like, don't you remember doing that? Like there was this whole thing. I played a sheep at one point. I'm not going to do it here. But I played a sheep interacting with another sheep. And she was like, don't you remember doing that? So yes, the camcorder thing also like, it's only
Did you
now.
want to do the sheep?
Don't you want to
the
do the
teeth thing?
sheep?
Come on.
Do the
Let's
sheep.
this
Here we
is-
go. It feels like something that'll go viral now.
Yeah,
On like TikTok.
become a meme.
That is-
Anyway, sorry, I'm taking up too much. I'm just saying that
I
all
remember
these little things.
my experience with storytelling was that I had watched this movie called Memphis Belle, which is really seminal to me. It's about these planes in World War II, these...
Because Memphis Belle was a
They drop bombs over Germany, wah, wah, wah. But I remember telling the story of Memphis Belle to a guy in my church, and he kept on walking away from me, and I couldn't understand. I'm like, I'm not finished telling the story. Wait, I've got more. So like I had this desire to tell stories, but I realized looking back, like this guy was just trying to get away from me the whole time.
Nobody wants to listen to your stories.
Yeah.
I used to get everybody around me to record me. So I wasn't behind the camera. I was just like, I'm in front, darling.
Yeah.
So my father has like tons of little tapes of me dancing, singing. Even like when we went abroad and visited family there, I'd be like, sorry, could you just turn it on? I just want to perform for them
Yeah, have you
right
guys
now.
seen me do this?
Yes, have you seen me sing My Fair Lady?
third youngest
Let me show
I
you.
remember the first time we met Mayuri, she came in to audition for us for High Rollers. We did a drama series for High Rollers on SABC 3. The first one was 2016. And then Mayuri was cast in the second season of that. And you blew us away. You were so loving and kind and gentle and fantastic. And yeah, I mean, shucks, that High Rollers was
Trauma.
trauma.
Shall we?
Thank you.
No? Shall we not?
We've all done projects where it's like, if I'm not doing it for the money, why is this even a...
Yeah, and also, I mean, the system, the whole thing was just broken, and we got. I mean, I don't give a shit talking about poorly about the SABC. I mean, during that period of time, I really feel like we were caught in the state capture, like with the whole Claudia Motsaneng and
wow.
like however that thing played out, it became very blatant at the end, where you were like, okay, guys, our exact budget for a year got split 4 ways in 10 million to these 4 other people who have not done television in their lives in order to make a television show. Like, we know what's going on.
Can I quickly go back to City Sesla? Like the phenomenon that it was. First time saw Luke acting last week because I didn't know about...
But it's interesting that a white person, because that's not our market, eh?
I told him I want to see a comeback from... It was either that character or just Luke acting in general. But like, I mean, that was a massive show at the time. It's 15 years. What's it now?
No, this November is 20 years.
Oh my
This
word, that is
November, it
insane.
started in 2005.
Yeah.
And I mean, we Meren and I mean, we wrote a pilot episode for a show that we
Why,
thought...
Luke? Why? Because we were doing our 2-man shows around the country and we realized we were going to die poor.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, we got to the height of what I think you can in theatre. Like, we were in the Baxter, we had a month run in the Baxter, we were killing
Sold
ourselves.
out shows at Grahamstown.
Yeah, and at the end of it, we're like, man, is this it? Like, I'm not going to be able to raise a family on this. So, but at the back of our minds, also, Roberto Durant had just been commissioned by ETV to do a slate of like 150 sitcom episodes, and she divided those amongst like Madam and Eve and Fishy Fashions, Big Oaks. Big Oaks was very seminal. for me. SOS. But I kept on feeling like, man, I think we can do better than this. And so then we put our money
Arrogance
where our
of
mouth
youth,
is,
bro.
and we wrote a pilot, and my brother was studying film in the States, and he basically came back for holiday, got off the plane, and we were shooting. And
No, literally. He landed.
Yeah.
I think he put his bag somewhere and then got to set.
Yeah. And I remember doing a location scout with him, and we were trying to find a building that had a lift that could open and close, and an urn that was stuck on somebody's hand could get stuck in the lift. And nobody would let us shoot in their building. And Josh and I pulled over to McDonald's to have lunch, and he said to me, listen, man, I think you need to just, take the loss here. This ain't going to happen. Park the dream. And that just fired a spur in me.
And
to
we
be
found
like,
the place. Do you remember?
no, we are doing this.
Yeah.
This is happening. And it was not a great pilot, but it got us a relationship with Endemol, and that got us a foot in the door with SABC. We pitched to SABC. The pitch went terribly. It was the worst pitch ever.
We pitched to everyone. We were rejected.
Well, 20 years
countless
ago,
times.
everyone was what? SABC and Mnet.
It was SABC and Mnet, and I guess ETV, but ETV wasn't necessarily
Commissioning stuff.
or in the conversation because they were young, right?
Yeah.
So we were rejected by everyone to the point where our pilot was called Life Out Loud, right? And then Laugh Out Loud, which was it was and it had sketches and it was at 94.7. What was his name? Jeremy Mansfield.
Jeremy Mansfield, yeah.
And
Wackhead Simpson.
Yeah.
Bobby Heaney was the producer. So we go into a meeting now. Endemol are trying whatever they can to get us into different meetings. And he's like, okay, cool. what we can do is we can take maybe one of your characters and we can create a sketch around it, and that way, and then inevitably, maybe that'll turn into the sitcom. And then Luke and I were like, we walked out of that and it felt like an opportunity, but we were like, we can't do that. We can't do that. It has to live the way we need for it to live.
Yeah.
So then basically, the hand of God.
We're talking.
No, I'm interested.
The hand of God opened, and another show that was commissioned for SABC got cancelled, and they said to us, can you be on air in 3 months' time? We had no scripts written. We were 22 years old. We had no experience whatsoever, and we said, yeah, sure, no problem.
They flew a lady named Ann Davis to Grahamstown because we were driving to Grahamstown now, like completely defeated. We had been rejected by everybody. We were like, great. Remember that dream that we had a year ago where we were like, is this it? This is it. We are theatre people.
Let's go back to theatre. Let's go back to mime and physical comedy.
We're at a drive-through, a KFC in the middle. I remember this, in the middle of fucking Beaufort West, wherever. Defeated. We're driving to Grahamstown, and I get this call, and it's from Marie from
Maury Rusholt, yeah.
From Endemol, and she was like, so do you guys want to make a sitcom? And I was like, what do you mean? Like, we're like, it's over. Like, do you guys have a sitcom that you guys want us to work? And she was like, no, the SABC One called and said that if you can shift it from an SABC 3 property to an SABC One property, they want it. And so now we've got this play that we're doing, and then they fly Ann Davies there. She has a lunch with Luke, Josh, and I. We're green, bro. And she's like, these are all the things that need to happen. We don't know what those words are. And we're like, yep,
Yes,
we're doing that.
But you said something interesting now, Luke, when you said you saw things out there and you wanted to, sure, we can make this better. Like that outlook, and there's something like, because this morning I thought about like a question I want to ask you is like, why do we make films? Meaning, because we know it's not Hollywood. It's not like the most lucrative. It's not like our directors are buying beach houses and our producers are, well, they are our producers that's driving around in Porsche,
the Hamptons.
Porsches. But I mean, I see filmmakers as teachers, meaning we go to work, you get your money, and it's very few times there's like major profit involved where it's like the Hollywood model that you know of today. But my basic question is like, why do you guys do what you do? Like, why do you make films? Because it is hard, and it's not necessarily, it's not like we're chasing money as well, but it is a tough industry. Is it more like there's nothing else? Like it's that itch inside. You're like, I'm a storyteller, and this is what I'm gonna die doing this for the rest of my life. You know, understand what I'm trying to ask? Like the why.
I don't know. I don't know my answer. Do you have an answer?
Luke, you can go first.
I have an answer, but I'd love to hear yours, man.
Oh, okay. So I think for me, it's two things. The first is really that when I'm on set, this is going to sound so, but
Do it.
I really do feel like connected to spirit or whatever, like something bigger than myself, which is like the most incredible feeling when you feel like I'm doing something that's my purpose. And then through that storytelling, I've had people message me and say like, I lost my parents. And I watched this movie and it made me laugh, and thank you for that. And that's something that you can't, like, what other industry can you do that where you can touch people in that way? It's like there's no feeling like it. And just to be able to like tell stories, feel connected to it, and be able to help others in some small way, forget about all the stuff that's going on in their life, I think that's such a gift.
Yeah, that is true.
I mean, I think we came up, during SABC days when SABC was still like
the golden age of SABC.
I think so. Yeah, it is still powerful.
Mid-90s to like mid-2000s, maybe late 2000s. Yeah.
I mean, SABC, shucks, that's a whole other kettle of fish. But when we were doing it, it was meaningful to the audience, you know. They were regularly getting 8-10 million views a night. It was a huge microphone. And we felt that, like I felt that responsibility to entertain that audience and to love them and to represent a different side of our country. I mean, City Sessler was a bunch of 6 friends, you know, white guy, Indian guy, Zulu guy, Xhosa girl, a Pedi girl, and a Zulu girl.
Like from Zulu. Yeah.
So it was like very multicultural, but it was our lived reality. These are our friends, and this is our show that we're making.
We got a lot of shit for it out in the world, in the idea that they were like, oh, this is such a representative. You've just taken one person of different races and you put them together and they live so cohesively. And I kept saying, Mandla and Tumi are our friends. We like actually hang out with them. We hang out with Owen. I live with Owen.
It's your
Luke
truth.
and I, you know, it's literally happening. So you know?
Yeah, it was beautiful. I think it was part of the success of that franchise was that it was authentic and real. So there's a part of me that like there's kind of a social good in being able to represent your lived reality to an audience. And then the other side of it is I'm motivated by challenges. I love, someday I'm going to start a property development company. Someday I'm going to get this international co-production thing right. But the challenge of acting for film and then directing and writing and producing and having a company and moving further into the position of executive producing was exciting to me. And there are, you ask, why are we interested? Why do we make these things? Yes, it's the love of the art, but there's the love of the commerce as well. And finding a balance between those two is important. I found that there are 5 ways to make money in this industry. There's the production fee you can charge for your work.
Yeah.
There's the line items you can charge for your services. There's the equipment that you can charge that you may own.
Yeah.
There's the exploitation of if you have ownership or IP ownership or some sort of equity in the project that you make and you exploit it and you license it and sell it to other places and you get a piece of that pie. That's really important. And then the 5th one is kind of the B2B services you can charge to within the industry. So if you're an expert in your certain
like
field,
consulting almost.
Exactly. And so I haven't found other ways of making money. Those are the 5 ways. And so much of it is weighted towards the first 1, 2, or 3. We need to get producers and young entrepreneurs to be able to own larger stakes of the stuff they produce.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go on this whole tip, but like South Africa is basically governed by the rules that were set during apartheid and the broadcasting rules, where the apartheid government would not allow any of the people who produce content to own any equity because it was a government mouthpiece. Why should I allow these actors or producers to have any ownership? So those rules are still set here. Whereas if you look in the rest of the world, in France, in the UK, the IP laws are much more flexible and are enforced that producers, content creators own a piece of the IP or own the entire IP. And the broadcaster, even though they pay for it, only get a small license, maybe
For a
3
window
years
of
to be
time,
able to exploit it. And then it reverts back to the IP owner. So I'm like passionate about trying to change those things so that the marriage of art and commerce can be successful and people can have a good living and support their families.
Yeah.
I always had this vision of my life of being able to produce work, have my family here in Johannesburg, and be able to be part of the international film community as well, because I'm producing stuff here made locally that is not just for a South African audience, but for an international audience. Yeah.
Mayuri, you and I need to think like Luke, because I've got a couple of answers to that question about why. I gave you a little bit of shit for having like imaginary friends or whatever, but I had thousands of imaginary friends when I was younger, and they would like, my sister used to tell me like, in my room, it would be like chaos. They could hear, and then when they walk in, I'd be like silent, and they would turn into like armies, and then an entire soccer team or whatever, and I'd be just playing around. It would just be me. And so the first reason is like when I'm writing, I get to be in my head again in that way.
Well, nice.
And like it gets so weird. It gets so weird, dude, when I'm looking forward to returning to the script, because I'm like, I don't want to spend time with my girlfriend or my friends or whatever. I'm like, I really want to spend time with these people that I'm writing. Like, I'm spending time with them. I don't know. That's really weird.
Because you can control them.
Yeah, but then sometimes they start speaking to you and they start going, no, I wouldn't say that. Or,
I know what you mean.
It's like so weird that you're like, oh, I'm going to have a cup of coffee at about 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm just spending about 3 hours with my friends here.
Some people have
What
hobbies.
are you doing?
Like some people, I don't know, build models or whatever. Meren makes TV shows as his hobby. You know?
But there's something like you also mentioned the child thing, you as well. I mentioned earlier with the camcorder. So Finland's education system, I don't know if you know, they base it on follow your highest excitement. So they put kids in classes and then they will let the kids decide what they like, meaning that kid will go play with the blocks, that one will start drawing, this one will put the radio on and dance, and then they'll put those kids in the different classes. So they see, cool, this is a numbers type, engineering type, whatever. So these kids are going to get that because the theory is like you know what you need to do with your life and want to do from a child, like from your earlier stage.
There's like so many things I want to contribute to. Shit.
But it's true though, because that's what you said. You went back to when you were a child, when you said like the story things, because that's what you know you want to do.
You only become self-aware of it. Like all of the stuff that Luke is saying, that there's a very interesting thing. First, okay, so there are two other reasons that I feel like I do it. Mandla used to say to us, and I didn't understand it until I watched an entire episode of City Sesla with a whole bunch of black people. Because the market was for black people, right? And we were living in our little sort of Western white world or whatever, in Melville. So I watched it with them. And the thing that he said was, you don't understand. We freeze time for half an hour a week for people. We freeze time. Time goes away for half an hour. It's like, I didn't understand what you meant. And then you watch it and you're like, yes, you are in suspension as an audience for half an hour. And I was like, that's the reason. And then when we did Black Tax, my girlfriend is a lecturer at Wits, and she came home and she was like, you're never going to believe what just happened today. And I was like, what? And she was like, there is another lecturer that has come to Wits and was a guest lecturer or whatever. And she is a white woman who has adopted a black child. And she was saying to Daniela, I watched this television show. I don't know if you know it. It's called Black Tax. And so Daniela was like, so tell me about it. And she was like, well, I don't know how to raise a black child and give him his culture. But through this television show, he and I are able to communicate, and he can see black issues, and then we can talk about it. And I was like, that is an incredible thing. I'm in my little world making a comedy.
You didn't think about that when you wrote it.
And look how specific that example is. So, you go out and you make your little television show for your market, and you go, okay, cool, it's a family comedy and there's black tax rules and stuff, and you understand all of that. You don't realize that there is a woman out there who is trying to parent her kid using the television show as a tool.
That's what I have you guys seen Big Fish?
Oh, bro.
Like, it's one of the moments I've cried the hardest when he turns into a fish. The dad goes into the water. I can't remember that. And I was like, I don't understand why I'm crying. But because it doesn't make sense, because it's silly. But my point is, like, that is the great thing about it's with music as well.
Yeah.
You have this into people's hearts that few other occupations have that. Like my accountant or engineer or the guy that draws my house, whatever, he's not going to say anything like change my life. But we make films and we tell stories and write songs and it hits strangers and a time in their life where they're going through hardships, good times, adoption, whatever. And it like you change the course of people's life, and it's a massive responsibility, this industry as well. Because sure, you can tell stories that's just like airy-fairy, no substance, whatever. There's a place for everything. But I'm very drawn to like what you said earlier, like making impactful content in a way, and Lucky Fish is like that. I woke up this morning at 5 and I came halfway. My daughter woke up, so I couldn't finish it.
Oh, because you had to watch it.
You watched it?
Oh yeah, well, halfway, yeah.
Oh no, that's
but
enough.
it's incredible, and what I like about like stories in general, even though it's the whole cast is Indian. It's not an Indian story per se. It's like Beef.
Absolutely.
If you've seen Beef on Netflix,
Yes,
it's like a Korean cast or Asian cast. But that's the powerful thing about stories. It's like unless it's like The Wound, where it's like and that's like Xhosa culture. But that is the amazing thing about stories. Like you can actually relate to anyone that looks different from you, because we are actually more alike than different.
That's the thing. That's what I think draws a lot of actors to, is that the stories are universal. Like love, hate, desire, greed, the things we all want.
Yeah.
It doesn't really, yes, it's behind the narrative of maybe culture or specific to a culture, but it's really about like we're connecting.
Yeah.
Why do you do it?
But
well done.
I want to go back into long form now. I just make commercials. My life has been like just shoot for one day. My life is I've become very lazy with regards to content. But a big thing is what Luke said. Like I'm very conscious of like making content that asks questions or holds up the mirror. Like that's the stuff that drives me, and it sometimes pushes people away. But the power of like story for me is what I like. It's like it moves thinking. It make yourself question about like, oh, how do I really feel about this? That's like my main thing. But I want to get back to long form and also make it sustainable so I can make money as well, because I feel like stories, it's like water and bread. Like we need water and bread, our bodies. We need it to survive. Vitamins, protein, whatever. Art is like that. We need music, we need films so that our souls can be fed. And it's fine if it makes money. If you can make money by selling water, why not make money by selling stories? Because we need it. So, but there's an unhealthy relationship with like filmmakers and musicians making money that I don't like. But what I wanted to add to Lucky Fish is, but it's flippin' like to watch a film where it's not where it's not the people I'm used to watch like a straight like a Indian cast, new faces that I haven't seen. And there's a lot of stereotypes. I mean, we live in a country where it's like, Afrikaans people talk like this, or it's like, and there's Indian tropes, or like is it Xhosa or Zulu, and there's stuff like that you enjoy sometimes. You laugh. It's more like you're laughing with people than like at each other, like, oh, classic Indian people. But I really enjoyed it. It's super funny. It's heartfelt. Yes, it's the first time, because normally we cast you as like just a straight up comedy. Here she comes, do something funny. But it's flipping like it to see you like, I mean, your first line when you walk into the salon and you say, it's about the inner beauty. What your first line was like, it's also about the inside. But the way you said it, and then you smiled, it was like, oh man, I've never seen you like this. Aww. It's incredible, yeah. So I don't have a question there, but it's basically. But I want to talk about the film because it's really.
Mayuri is really the heart of the film, because I mean, if we could give a little premise of it. Yeah. It's basically Meren's character is a struggling kind of a dodgy businessman in Durban, in Phoenix. He's running a tin fish company, a pilchards company. It's not doing very well. And he gets this crazy idea to sponsor a beauty pageant. And he asks his sister, Mayuri, to help him run it. And she initially says, no, that's...
You can't do that. Like beauty pageants are like antiquated. Like, what are we saying
we're not
to the world?
You're not going to put, what do you call it, objectify women like this just for your company.
Until she sees her little daughter, a 9-year-old daughter, looking at the TV screen and...
listening to what a woman is saying about beauty pageants and saying, we had to weed out the undesirables.
Yeah, it's only the pretty, only the most beautiful, or something like that
and
wins.
She was like, I'll never be as pretty as those girls.
Go for it. So
no, and then that's, sorry, Luke was saying it.
No, keep going.
And I think that's, I feel like she's like a bit like the moral compass as well of the story, but also the heart, where she's like, if we don't do this now, what are we telling future generations?
Yeah.
And I think that's something I'm very passionate about in real life as well. So it really resonated for me to be able to say that on screen and make like an impact in that way.
Yeah. So okay.
So then Mayuri's character says to Sanjay, Meren's character, because Meren is the lead actor of this film, that okay, cool, I'll do it, but only if the pageant is open to everybody. But it's an all-inclusive pageant.
But he doesn't hear that. All he hears is that his sister has jumped on board and he's going to get his pageant.
So when they come
what comes in,
they come
is
to the
everybody and.
To judge the first round of contestants, one is in a wheelchair, another is kind of bandages around her face, another is pregnant, heavily pregnant. Zenobia Kloppers has got this crazy teeth. That's a whole other story about me going with her into the middle of Phoenix to get to the dentist to get the teeth mold made.
Wow. That was Luke went on his own teeth journey, because at some point, Craig, Josh and I gave up and we were like, the teeth, whatever you got is good enough. And Luke was like, it is not good enough. And then just how many drafts or rounds?
We did about 5 rounds of those teeth.
After round 2, I was like, but.
Of like what, different molds?
No, well,
different
the
molds.
Guy, so the guy, the dentist we found in Durban to help us with it, he's not used to making bad teeth.
Yeah,
he's like, no, I've got to make nice straight teeth.
Yeah.
So when you ask him, okay, it really needs to be stuffed up teeth, like bad teeth. So he then, like one tooth is slightly crooked. I'm like, guy, you don't know what I'm talking about. So then I take a picture and I manipulate it in Photoshop to be like, it needs to be like this. And he's like, really? Is that really what you want? So that was, and he was great. They did it for us super quick. We got them all out there. Zenobia is a flippin' champion in this film. Anyway, the contestants arrive, and then Meren's character is like, whoa, what have you got me into? I can't, my tin fish company, Palais Pilchards, is going to go down the toilet if these are the winners of my contestant. He backs out, but a reporter arrives. They've caught
you're going to tell the details of the whole movie.
No, the setup. The reporter arrives. He can't back out of it now, so now he has to double down and say, yes, these are the contestants of Palais Pilchards, Miss Palais Pilchards beauty pageant. And he basically spends the first half of the film trying to change these not traditionally beautiful women into his idea of what is beautiful.
And the world. Like he's a reflection of the world and of what the little girl heard from the woman on TV. He is representative of that.
Yeah.
And then they spend the second half of the film adjusting and changing that idea of his idea of what is beautiful. Yeah. So that it sounds cheesy, but it's true. It's inner beauty. It comes out.
Can I ask you about the conversations you had with the cast, though? Because I mean, it's tough. It's obviously you want to make fun of, like, I mean, in the context of the story, you have to make fun of the person that's overweight or big body shape, or the one with the teeth, or the other one in the wheelchair, or the lady with the one leg. I mean, was that like tough conversations? You know, like in the context of you know, when there's like essential scenes in movies, you have a what do you call
Intimacy
those people?
coordinator.
Like, do you add like a sensitivity training, or like,
no.
or was it just like,
I
hey
had to
guys,
do it.
you're gonna be the person with the whack teeth. Are you fine? He's gonna point at you and be like, you look stupid.
No.
Or is it just like everyone
So-
signs up?
So at the beginning, when Craig and I first wrote it, we were doing something wrong. What we were doing is like there was a lady who was cockeyed. There was a lady. They all had like the lady with one leg, you know. And what we were doing was we were reverting to terrible tropes of making fun of people who are actually like disabled and like have so. This lady named Tracy Lee gave some incredible notes, and I'm fucking on my way to LA. I'm like a week away from leaving LA for a 5-week residency, but these notes come in and they are spot on. And so I go away, and Craig and I are talking every day, and I was like, you know what, where we went wrong? These are not the contestants. The contestants are women who would naturally not be in a beauty contest. A pregnant lady, a lady who's too old,
Wow.
a lady,
In a
you know, like
wheelchair.
we got a lady in a wheelchair. When you do that, then it stops becoming about, oh, look, we're lampooning or making fun of people who have disabilities and, oh, look at the cockeyed lady or whatever. It starts becoming something deeper. So then I went and I really like fucking squeezed all of that out of the script and got it to now what happens to them in the end. Like, and the awful fights that I was having. I was listening to a lot of women, and there was something that was really interesting. The women were all saying inner beauty, inner beauty, inner beauty. And I kept going, what the fuck does that mean, guys? You know what you're saying when you say inner beauty, right? And I kept getting fought. And then I realized, came to the conclusion, the journey of the woman is the bravery for them to accept that they were beautiful from the beginning. It is not about outer beauty and inner beauty. It is about
You're beautiful.
from the
Fact.
beginning. Yes.
Point. Yeah.
And you take all of those things and you weave them together, and then you find that. So now when the script came out, that was my thought. Right now, I'm a guy who wrote this movie. I don't know how it's going to land with women now, because I've gone away and I've listened to a couple of women speak. When the read-through happened, all of the women embraced the script. They like, and I mean, that read-through scared the shit out of me, because I hadn't been acting for 5 years, and these women were bringing it, dude. In a read-through, I'm like, imagine what's going to happen now on set.
yeah.
Yo, I spent that weekend stressing. But they embraced it because they found what was in the middle. Where it got complicated for me was I improvised quite a lot, right? And now he's saying all of these awful things to them. Like, oh, and specifically he's saying it to Samantha, you know, he's like, oh, you brought all of these like people, like, no, especially that lady, she's hurting my eyes or whatever. In the improvisation, before I improvised, I was like, guys, it's going to get bad. I'm going to say some things now. And unfortunately, you know, Sia, you're a large lady, and Sanjay has a point of view of that. So I'm going to improvise. It is not Meren who has any of these opinions. Holy shit, the stuff that came out of me. At one point, there's a moment where something happens in the movie and they're all collected. And he starts blaming his sister. And I was like, okay, cool, we're going to improvise now. And he was like, he says, Sanjay, but in the improvised moment, which we have, but it didn't make it in the cut. I was like, you know, when you're all individual, maybe I can cope with you. But together, you're like the fucking zombie apocalypse. And all the actors were like, and I was like, okay, no, cut. Too far. I'm so sorry. So yes, sensitivity coach, maybe it was necessary, but they were so embracing, and also we became this very trusting group. They trusted, I don't know why, but I think it came out now in the interview, like I would go off on a tangent and they would come with me, sometimes create their own tangents. Like there was a sense of trust now that got built, where you were like, you're in a safe space without a safety or security person and sensitivity person, and you just implicitly trust one another.
Yeah.
And when something horrible is being said or something, because a lot of the women also improvised as well, you know, and when something's being said about Sanjay or whatever in an improvised moment, you're like, just go with it, man. It's like, this is amazing.
And it's also like how the redeeming arc is like, the worse the character is, the more beautiful is the
But the
redemption.
trick is you have to give them likable things in order for the audience to go on that journey. You can't, it can't be one. That was the problem in the first 17 drafts of the script.
Yeah.
And then I started sprinkling tidbits that make him kind of likable. And Craig, my writing partner, said it's a problem because the journey now isn't clean. And I was like, but Craig, if we create him and they hate him in the beginning, they're not going to go on the journey with him in order to like him at the end. You have to sprinkle little bits where you're like, he's fucking weird, he's quirky. Oh God, he's such an idiot. Oh, come on, dude, get it right, get it right. Like you have to figure out a way for them to, the audience must be on his side.
Yeah.
You know? And I think that's true of all characters who go on a journey who are flawed in this way, or like I mean, he was misogynistic. He was like, at one point he was like ogling the girls. He was doing all of these really gross things, you know. And I'm like, no one is going to follow this dude. No one. I won't. I certainly won't.
Yeah,
you know?
Do you guys normally gravitate towards comedy in general from a producer? I mean, because you like my High Rollers wasn't a comedy. City Says it was a comedy, but I mean, you've done a lot of cake net shows you produced. I mean, I know you only from comedy stuff. I haven't seen the High Rollers. Your High Rollers. Did you get the role in High Rollers?
Yes, I did.
We just spoke about the audition, so I don't know if you got it.
Luke was like, "Thank you, you're great, goodbye."
She was so loving and caring, and she didn't get it.
But is comedy something? It's like just like your number one pick, like, or is it just anything?
That actually came as a surprise to me. I don't consider myself funny, so it was really like, I consider myself quirky and weird, and some people get it and some people don't. But drama, I think as an actor, you always gravitate towards like the drama, right? You want to be able to pull, but comedy is really hard to do. And so I was just like, I can't do it. It's fine. But somehow I kept landing comedic roles. So I guess there must be something there.
But I think comedy is also like a weird thing, because it's not like slipping on a banana, everything like not everything's like that. Acting is reacting, and like The Office, nothing funny happens in something like The Office. It's just the way they react to what is happening, which is funny. And I think that's your superpower. It's just not about like, hey, I'm a hero. It's like, hey, I'm just gonna. That's terrible. The audio will cut that. But I mean, it's like you reacting like a normal person to a silly situation, and that is funny.
I think Mayuri is a fantastic dramatic actress. She was in this wonderful UK series, Noughts and Crosses, and I remember from Movango days. You know, you shine. Your star shines, whether it's comedy or drama. I think you're amazing.
I'm paying him after the show.
Luke, you gravitate.
I mean, honestly, I like family-friendly films. Like, I like stuff that I could watch with my kids. I mean, Lucky Fish is a PG-13, so you can bring the whole family, and it's a great date night film. It's a funny event, I think, and we're trying to get people to eventize it a bit and have watch parties and come and watch it on the 25th of July. It's in cinemas.
I mean, without you even saying it, like Jay Loshni, who, I mean, she's huge in the Indian community, and as soon as she started posting, you will see their women tagging their husbands or boyfriends going date night.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's a family-friendly film. It's comedy. It's got a bit of heart in it. We're releasing it in August, which is Women's Month. It's got some very strong, wonderful societal issues we're dealing with, but it's wrapped up in this really, it's polished. It looks beautiful. Durban looks amazing. The community of Phoenix, which has never been committed to screen before, looks wonderful. I mean, it's a beautiful little gem. I mean, they live a hard life there, but they embraced us, and you know, when we lost the location, they came around us and said, "Okay, come, we'll find something else for you." So we had a great time shooting there. We shot the whole thing in Durbs, in KZN, and I think it's like when we started this journey, we said, "Okay, can this be a 4-quadrant film? Can this entertain?"
You said that. I was like, I don't even know what the fuck that means.
When did this start? When did you start?
Tell me 4 quadrants again.
Like 7 years ago, you know. 4 quadrants is young, old, male, female, you know. And I think it can. I really think we've got a strong youth audience. We've got, you know, yes, it's an Indian market. But when I watched the Kannasamis, when Karine and I watched the Kannasamis, we were blown away. It was so hilarious. It was a window into a world I'd never seen before. It was an audience that was starving for content. And it was a universal story of a mother wanting the best for their child.
Yeah, Romeo and Juliet, bro. Just living next door to one another.
So we were hugely inspired by the Kannasamis, being like, okay, wake up, guys. There's an audience here who are desperate for content, who are starved for it.
And I will say there were some lessons to learn. So it's interesting that you say that. But the one thing that I got was that the Kannasamis, the heavy colloquialisms and Indianisms are hectic there. And what I realized was I needed to do that because I come from more Western background. I had Harton Primary aged of like 9 or 10, you know. I got taken out of the Indian community. Like Mayuri and I play a game of like, Meren, you don't know what that word means? Are you insane? Well, how Indian are you? Right. Yeah. So my psychology has always been, and then I did a play called Buckled with Leander, Reddy, and Krije Govender directed. And it started hitting a wider audience because I come from a Western sensibility. So there's all this Indian stuff that's happening that's very, like, you have to be Indian to know that. And then you've got me who is like sort of tempering that down and bringing a more universal comedy. So what I wanted to do specifically was just tone the heavy colloquialisms and Indian sayings down. So it then opens up.
Wow.
It's sprinkled in there, like here and there, but for the most part. And it was important for me not to represent Indian people in this heavy stereotypical way with the heavy accent and like the heavy stereotypes. I don't know you're more Indian than I am. So tell me where we land in that, because I'm not trying to like tell your audience it's universal. All of these elements came together that make it naturally wider,
I think that's actually his superpower in this specifically, because as an Indian person to see it, there are things that resonate. But because Meren's doesn't know a lot of the colloquialisms and he didn't grow up in Durban, so all of that, he's able to look at it in a way where even if an Afrikaans white male went and saw that's you saw it, he'd be like, I get this, you know. So I think that's his superpower.
But that's exactly. So I saw the trailer before we started speaking about getting you on the podcast, and when I saw the trailer, I was like, I would love this film. And even though,
but when we talk about taste and tricks, guys, can we just deviate for a little bit? When I saw that fucking trailer, I was like, I am going to watch this movie. Africa, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
When you see the thing it play out, and when you see these two cops who are brother and sister, you come to realize in the trailer, and then they're being shat on by their captain, and then the premise is they've got to act like husband and wife. I was like, I'm done. So you see, that's a universality there. I don't give a shit about your culture or anything. Just that root thing.
But I mean that show is not set. That's not Afrikaans story per se, and I know Lucky Fish isn't, but it's set in a community of majority Indian people. So what I like is, as I know I'm not going to watch, it's not an Indian film, but there's universal themes. I'm a guy. I also sometimes feel like I'm not handsome, or you feel like terrible.
Yes, but also listen.
But that's what
we live in a polarized world, right? As a guy, also sometimes you're like, I don't know whether to say that woman's ugly or not, and so you get the voice of Sanjay, where you can live through that and go like, he can say it,
But my point is, there's themes that I can relate to. I can relate to your character, like making stupid decisions, being selfish, just doing things for yourself.
Entrepreneurial, trying to.
But the fact that it's a full Indian cast makes you go, we're more alike than we think, because we live in South Africa where it's like, oh, we're so different, and we just think of skin color, and obviously culture is what makes us different. But that is what I like stuff about, like Beef as well, where it's like it's an Asian cast, but the themes are universal. But it's you go, oh my word, we're actually more alike than what we think. So films like this, where it's set in like a certain culture group, it's got a uniting thing to it, and if it's intentional, it's irrelevant. That's what it does, because I look at people different from me, but that feel the same stuff that I feel.
I really, sorry.
No.
I really hope that is what audiences take away, because I think in South Africa especially, we tend to cast according to culture and community, which is fine. Those stories need to be told. They must be told. But at the end of the day, colored, Indian, black, Asian, this all makes up South Africa.
Yeah.
Indian people outside of India are the biggest diaspora is in South Africa. Why don't we have more Indian content?
Exactly.
And that's why I'm so excited about it, because I really think people are going to take that away, like, oh, we're more alike. I'll watch another Indian thing. I'll watch another black thing. I'll watch another Afrikaans thing,
I've got to say, it's because of this fucking marketing of this movie where I've had to be very introspective, and there's something that you've landed on, because I will ask you, because it's on Showmax, to watch the first episode of Black Tax, because that's what I've come to realize. The stuff that I have made is consistently that theme. We are more alike than we are different. City Sesla was absolutely that. We are more similar than we are different. All of the stuff that happened into my career, fine, we do television shows and movie, but Black Tax, when you watch it, you'll come to realize we are more alike than we are different. And now here is the third one. So I think that there's maybe something in me that is unconscious that keeps going back to that well.
I just think it's just your view of life. It's not a decision. It's like you'll always write something funny because you've got you got an interesting perspective on life. So
I
But
think
I
it's
also
born
think-
out of trauma, but you know, you don't want to get too deep now. Fuck.
I think
And
that
don't use the T word.
I love it. I love some trauma.
the stuff that I've seen produced over the past few years, I don't want to derail on anyone, but like I see more polarization happening
Oh,
with
really?
content being
Okay.
in South Africa. I see that, okay,
Can I ask, do you mean like content that divides us, or do you just mean like?
I mean like content that is only made for this one audience.
Well, okay.
And that it's like I can't access it because it is too specific.
It's also a language. I mean, we've got 12 languages, so language is
Sure,
one
but
thing.
I mean that everything's subtitled these days. But I just find that, maybe it is our collective subconscious that with City Cecily we were trying to do something that was representing a larger audience, but that feels like that there isn't an appetite for that. Let me not say there isn't an appetite. I think the people with the money are scared and don't want to do that because it is
They
a
think
risk.
it's watered down.
It's
or they
too much
think
of a
like
risk.
We're
They
not
know
targeting a
there's
specific market.
There's a Zulu audience here, or there's an Afrikaans audience there, and we must just target those people. And so that you end up getting content that is very siloed, that doesn't have
You can only live
a
there.
life beyond this audience. And I guess that's that's the burden we carry, I think, is to try and create content that's going to entertain South Africa, not
Yeah.
just this small section.
Yeah, but and it's so interesting that you say that because that burden is actually a burden because of the gatekeepers. It is not a burden on me to go, oh, like, you know, when we talk, sometimes I feel like we get a little bit wanky. Like when we were saying, why do you make it? And we were like, oh, we touch people, we spend time or whatever. I'm like, okay, cool, guys, it's not that deep. Like sometimes I like to make things where you fucking grab popcorn and you stuff it in your mouth.
Yeah,
and
just
all of a
forget
sudden
about
2
life.
hours goes by and you had, like it doesn't have to be like,
Yeah,
I
that's
make it
deep.
because I changed somebody's life or, you know. The gatekeepers, I think, because if I could make Lucky Fish or City Sizzler over and over again for the rest of my life, I would. But it's the gatekeepers that are telling me, no. I mean, the fact that Luke, Burnt Onion, maybe Black Brain so much, but I don't think so much, and Rous House, but Burnt Onion and Rous House, to survive what I felt was a fucking wave of attack when it came to comedy from like 2013, 2014 to 2023 and still produce comedy during that period of time. And you guys are doing it as well, meant that we were able to weather what I felt was a storm of people going, comedy doesn't sell, comedy doesn't travel, and we still were able to, I don't know, convince them or something to keep it going until now we've gotten to the point where the cycle's now changed and our people are going, oh, hey, you know, what's going on with comedies? So
But isn't
I
it?
am drawn to comedy more than anything else.
Yeah, but if I want to play devil's advocate to what you just said about like honing into one thing. I want to use a show like Squid Game, for example, which is like full on South Korean. Yeah.
But
South Korean. No, but my question is why did it blow up?
because
the
it's
way it did?
about the fucking human condition,
No,
bro.
I know, but it was made in Korea for Koreans. It was only, I mean, that didn't work like 10 years and I think. But anyway, my point is, isn't the answer to something that'll blow up and change the world, in fact, in that small little thing. And I know we're not making films like.
My point, I think Squid Game is a really interesting example, and everybody points to that as like something that was made so specifically for that audience, but had a huge international resonance. This is 2 points here. Number one, South Korea and the Korean people specifically deal with a huge issue of debt.
Wow.
A lot of people are drowning under debt, and that Squid Game is about that, about how do I escape this impossible burden. But also, the second point is South Korea is a homogenous community. They all speak Korean. They don't have 12 official languages like us. So when you're making a piece of content there, there is a naturally built-in, we understand this and we all are in support of it. It's much harder, I think, in South Africa because we have so many different corridors you can run down and different audiences that you're trying to entertain. So I think, I loved Squid Game, and it's hard to point to that as a reference to be like, well, why can't we just do that?
But can I add something?
Yeah.
I agree with you, and I disagree. Maybe I agree with you more than I disagree. Because, Luke, you got to think about De Wet's dream. So if you think about De Wet's dream, and then you think about Lucky Fish, and then you think about what Bo was saying,
Who's the vet?
So we did a two-man
Shout
show.
out. Is it a show called The Vet?
The Vet's Dream.
Okay,
yeah.
I thought it's a friend of yours.
It's set in Da'ar, in this tiny place, and these two brothers who own a video store, and they just dream of leaving the town.
Oh, okay.
And they get caught up in the idea that they're so affected by like these movies, they decide that they're going to rob the bank. But the one brother's in love with the mayor of the town's daughter, who's promised to someone else. It's like all this, like this microcosm, like tiny, and it blew up because it was saying something so much larger about the world and being stuck and following your dreams or whatever. So I agree with you. When you get that specific, but the thematics are so universal. So you can talk about death and stuff, but the existentialism of the human condition is so heavily embedded in Squid Game that language barrier gets
falls
broken
away.
down, right?
Yeah.
So the same thing with The Vet's Dream. And my hope is with Lucky Fish is it's set in fucking Phoenix, bro, in like this tiny corner of KZN, never been put on television show. In this tiny, tiny world, this little thing that is happening is saying this massive thing about the world and woman and femininity, and and it's taking place there.
Well, we're going to find out pretty soon. In a week's time, we are premiering at the Durban International Film Festival.
No, I'm saying,
Shout
sorry,
out.
my hope, I don't think it's going to do like Squid Game or whatever, but my hope is that
I look forward to watching it with
Yeah.
an audience.
an audience of industry
Have you,
people.
do people do test screenings?
I
Is
mean,
that a
Meren
thing
has been
still?
doing a couple.
I have.
Oh, really? Nice.
I've been taking it around, and I've been doing so it started with friends and family, and I've done 6, and then I've taken it to people I don't know, and like maybe groups of like 7 to 10 people.
The feedback's like a...
Incredible.
Yeah, but I'm watching I'm not watching the fucking movie.
Yeah,
I've been
you're
watching the
watching
movie. I'm
them.
watching
Yeah,
them
yeah.
watch the movie, and their emotional journey. It doesn't matter, and I've done it across a cross section of people, not just Indian people. I wanted to see what it looked like when Indian people, then white people, black and white people sprinkled together. And when I was watching it, their emotional journey, the audience's emotional journey, is relatively the same.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I cry when I watch the film. When you get to that final third act climax where
Things happen.
things happen, the woman sings. It's,
Go on.
It's
Well, there's a
very
lot of
emotional.
women.
Edit
You
that
don't
out.
know,
Edit-
you don't
edit-
know
edit
who's
that.
going to sing. There's a lot of people in this show.
But also, Bo, with Squid Game, I just wanted to ask you, like, didn't it also, when you were watching it, make you think, like, what would I do in that situation?
Yeah,
like, obviously, we
100%.
never will be in that situation. Let's
Yeah,
hope.
yeah.
Dystopia might be around the corner. But what would you do? Would you kill? Would
Yeah,
you
exactly.
live with honor? Like, those
Yeah.
are, these are questions.
Yeah, but you made a good point, Luke. I think you swayed my view on the show, because the challenge in South Africa is like, if I go and make my point of view a full-on Afrikaans perspective show from my experience, how do you get other people to get invested in it? Because it's the language thing is the first thing. It's a culture difference. Where there, it's like, how many million people live in South Korea? There's already like 50 million people. I don't know.
Probably, yeah.
It's already 50 million people that it's made for them. So the tipping point is easier if they just share it with one other person. Then it's double that.
But I'm trying to figure it out, because, the Castile and Alkes give a pot or whatever. But like, if I'm trying to think about it, because I think if I made something hyper Afrikaans, I think there's a way to crack it. I really do. Like, I know you say things like, okay, cool, Afrikaans. And Luke, you keep saying to me, well, it's an Afrikaans movie or an Afrikaans television show. It's not going to live beyond our borders. That comes out a lot, right? And for me, I'm like, yes, you can talk about Squid Game or whatever, but if we can figure out the universality of the theme and the thing that is being said, and you make it super Afrikaans. If you take The Vet's Dream and you were to make it Afrikaans and an Afrikaans film, I'm pretty sure, based on what it's saying, it would potentially be a Squid Game or a Brazilian film, or like where
Yeah.
you don't care about the language,
But I feel we're getting closer to the place where more local content will explode or travel better overseas. Obviously, the contracts with like DSTV and so on doesn't work like that. But if you partner with the streaming sites, I feel like something like Shake Lembe is interesting for me. Like, I wonder if that show, because that's Game of Thrones set in Africa.
So good,
But with
dude.
that show, obviously it'll never travel because, well, maybe with the new Canal Plus, whatever is coming, maybe then it'll travel more overseas. Unless, if you know, is it playing overseas, Shaka?
I don't think it has. I mean, I know that they've had difficulty because of the
deal.
like the nudity. There's a lot of nudity in that thing. So they've had difficulty with international sales, and you can't get away from the nudity
Yeah, that's
because
the
it's like
culture.
baked into the whole thing.
But I mean, that's Game of Thrones in Africa.
Yeah, I'm
and
like,
would it also explode worldwide like Game of Thrones exploded worldwide?
I think if this is just my own musings, I think if it cracked the European market, because I think the European market is probably more open to boobs and stuff. But I think if it cracked like the European market, I think it might actually explode. Like,
But
I
everybody
don't know.
knows that story, Shaka, right? Like you say Shaka, everyone has a reference point for that. And it's interesting because before Shaka Ilembe came out, there was an HBO series called Shaka that was being shot in
Yeah, wow.
Durban,
And it was
right?
Antoine.
Fisher. I want to
No,
say.
the Training Day, the guy who directed Training Day.
Yes, Fuqua, Antoine Fuqua.
Yeah.
And I mean, that didn't see the light of day. It got canned. They shot the whole thing. I think they were like 2-3 days short of finishing their schedule, and the money ran out and something went wrong. But that was an example of like, people are recognizing this is a universal story. This is a powerful story. We want to make it. I'm so glad MultiChoice got there before HBO or someone.
Because they were shooting themselves. They were like, these internationals, Antoine is shooting it and we're shooting it. Oh my goodness.
At the same
Obviously,
time-
the Americans are going to be better than we are.
Yeah, very much.
Sure. Yeah, well, I'm excited. Like from a music perspective, it's getting closer to like you see more artists getting songs that goes viral overseas and gets like there's an artist Michael Lohman that he got songs on the Kardashian series, which is like a paycheck. But I mean that's you never hear stuff like that. So just like for closing, basically anything you want to say about the film? Why people? It's the cliche question: why people would go and watch it? I want to start. It's super funny. It's heartfelt. And it's local. Need to support local more. Why should people go and watch
You
it?
said everything you were going to say,
Is
right?
it?
That we've covered.
But I didn't watch the end yet, so I know it's getting super heartfelt. But it is extremely funny, and it's not like because I told Luke I was like I thought it's gonna be like it's gonna be like big acting, and it's so truthful. And it's ridiculous. Like one of my favorite lines was, "I didn't know my legs was involved," because the bad guy tells you he's going to break your legs, and you're like, "I didn't know my legs was involved." And it's such a silly picture, and then your arms get involved. It's like, why is my arms involved? But I mean, it's highbrow comedy, but it's super clever written, and it's very truthful. So from my side, I think the grandfather's my favorite character. When he came and he's like, "Oh, that smells. You made food," and he's like, "Oh, this smells nice. Did you fart?" It's so
To the little
stupid.
girl. Yeah.
No, it's incredible. So it's truly fun, and I think just from a comedy perspective, well done on pulling that off.
And it's hard for me when we have to say it, support local, but I think support it because I think not because it's local, support it because it stands by itself. It stands. I think it could go toe to toe with an international comedy. I really believe that it could go toe to toe with an international comedy. I mean, when I look at the Will Ferrell and Reese Witherspoon,
Or the weddings, the daughters.
I'm telling you, I feel like this movie like hedges it. And I think that's why you should go and watch it. Go and watch what we can do with comedy when we are not falling all over the place, slipping on banana peels.
Yeah.
No.
I think I'm going to be a little bit more serious about it and just say that I think it will really resonate with lots of people, men and women, but especially women. We're taught from a young age about beauty standards, society standards, and there's things that we just take in that we don't even realize. All this trauma that we take on. And it's so liberating to be able to be a part of something where you're saying you were always enough. There was never anything you had to aspire to. And I know it's funny and all of that, but there really is a deeper layer to it that I think that's why people respond so well, and especially females. Like, I also teared up, and I hate watching myself or anything in it, but everybody around me, the cast, like the crew, everything, it's shot so beautifully. There's you can't help but want to watch it.
Yeah. Beautiful movie.
From my point of view, all of this stuff, I echo everything you've said there, but then just look at the practical things that's happened. So we are the opening night film for the oldest and most prestigious film festival in Africa, the Durban International Film Festival. That doesn't happen if you haven't made a good movie. And I think we're in cinemas on the 25th. That doesn't happen if the cinema exhibitors like Ster-Kinekor, New Metro don't see the potential of this. They opened up the bookings early for us. They're backing it. They're giving us premieres in Durban, in Cape Town, in Joburg. Nice. There's a lot of people who'll be like, this is a good movie. We're going to back this thing because we know the audiences are going to enjoy it. So that
is incredibly important. Sorry, you continue and I'll...
No, I mean, I just think we're getting, there's a movement happening. I mean, these guys were on Anele and the gang this morning. We're getting press interviews like crazy. There's a lot of talk about it, and take those things and be like, okay, something must be happening here. There's something good these guys have got.
And I think it was that. Look, all we were trying to do, I had a panic because the weekend before we started shooting, The Shakedown came out. The Shakedown is a much larger budget than our film, and it comes on Amazon. I'm watching it. It's a great film. Awesome. No marketing. Nobody even knows that this movie's coming. So I'm shitting myself now. We're shooting the thing. Now we're starting to get to picture lock, November, December of 2024. And I say to Luke, this thing, if we deliver it in February, they're going to put it on Amazon in March, and that's going to go there to die. And Luke figured it out and was like, look, if we can get it into a film festival just to screen, they have to hold off their release.
Nice.
We get it into the Durban Film Festival. We go away on holiday the 17th of December. We come back in January. They go, look, we've evaluated the film. Not only are you screening, you're going to close the festival. A week later, or a month later, they're like, you're not going to close the festival. You're going to open the festival. Then Amazon comes back to us and goes, listen, if you guys want a month run at the theaters. Now, when that conversation, if it's going like that, it means that all parties involved are seeing something in this thing that is, so all we wanted was a screening at DIF in order to buy some time for marketing. Look at where we are.
And that's rare because we live in an age where the next movie is dropping tomorrow, click here, stream there. And the fact that it goes out on cinema is incredible because that's where you want to go and watch a film.
Like marketing these days, marketing in the past used to be, imagine this is a table and this is the audience's attention, and you can't put another thing on the table until something else falls off, right? And that's why you got to get your stuff, start months in advance, blah, blah, blah. But nowadays with the streamers, they just come and say, here's our film, boosh, and everything scatters out the way. So that's why they're only marketing and publicizing maybe a week or two in advance of the drop of the thing because a week later, it'll disappear and something else will come along. So we are doing the traditional marketing route. We've got a marketing plan. There's a long run up to it. And, obviously we're in the intense part of it right now. But we've seen a great response. People who've watched it really enjoy it. I think it's going to be a fun date night, family night movie. And we encourage everyone to come out there, not just because you're supporting local films, but because it's really a good quality product.
Preach. Thank you for your time, guys.
Thank you for having us, man. This has been great.
Durban International Film Festival on 25th of July in theaters.
Yep.
And I'm excited for the sequel. I hear there's a white Afrikaans guy that's opening up a Boerewors shop.
As competition.
I don't know what it's for. We'll figure it out.
Thank you very much for having us,
guys. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Bye. I drink wine. Oh, we're still rolling. Do you drink wine?
I do.
I got gifts. Where's my wine?
Why are you giving us gifts? We're supposed to be giving you gifts.
All the way from Opstal, Wijnen.
Ooh.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much.
White wine.
I love
white wine?
I'm a white wine
Meren is a white wine drinker for sure. Yeah, the sugars. He loves it.
Sorry, Atti, I always butcher the gifts. Every episode, it happens like this. The show's over. I was like, sorry, Atti, but thank you for the wine. I never give it in the show. I always forget.
Aren't you supposed to?
Exactly.
Thank you very much.
You got to edit it.
Apologize.
Shall we just
Thank
go
you,
like
Opstal.
so as per while we're speaking about Lucky Fish in the middle of it, we just want to thank Ati for the wine. So about the themes. Now you can cut that in the middle.
Nice, genius.